So this is the mutual aid platform, and it's the software that we use in mutual aid networks. And this is the public-facing view, and so anyone can see it like this, where it's just a basic homepage, and then we can look at a marketplace, which shows us the different offers and requests in the humans network. And so this is just like a time bank, actually. So so even as a non-member, not logged in, I can see the different things that people are offering and requesting in the humans. And these are real offers and requests. And all these offers and requests, people who are members have the option to be exchanging hours or other forms of mutual credit. So we also have the many, which is our own mutual aid network mutual credit. And we expect it's denominated in the national currency and of whoever's using it, unless you specify otherwise. So the many is a price-based mutual credit. And you can also exchange any other form of currency in here. You can connect it with PayPal or other payment services, and you can manage invoicing and things. So this is really built to manage business of all different types. And then it's been adapted by the designers who've made it this way to do various forms of mutual credit and time banking. And it's also been really adapted to do project management in sort of a sociocratic way of working. Because I'm not logged in, I'm not going to be able to show you the project management stuff, but that's the stuff that I find most exciting. So so this is what a non-member can see. Once someone's a member, sorry, I'm flipping over to here to see. Oh, okay. I thought maybe we would have some action on our website. So anyhow, so once I'm a member, then I can start exchanging with via the marketplace. You can't do that as a non-member. And then also, and once I have had an orientation in the software, then I can get access to this back-end functionality that you're not going to be able to see right now. I'm sorry. But in the back end, that's where we have project management tools, and you can just be working on a project as a group and managing communications that way and assigning tasks and describing them. And you can sign off on your tasks once you've done them and automatically invoice time. So we can be connecting time banking with the actual work that we're doing to do this stuff. And not just time banking, but other forms of mutual credit and other types of accounting. So I can piece together a work life that I'm doing more peer-to-peer projects and managing them through this open source software. And right here in the same software ecosystem, I can say I did this task. There's a reviewer of the task. We've done like a real work process, which is very good at facilitating. And we can sort of more automatically exchange whatever kinds of credits we're exchanging. So that is a piece of it. We call it the MAP, the Mutual Aid Platform. It's a very powerful piece of software, needs improvement, but is extremely high functioning already. So it's one of the things that we're looking for help with just on that. And apologies, but I'm still focusing on this SSL issue, and I think it might be getting resolved right now. So I want to be able to. Well, no, I don't think it's fixed yet. All right, so I think it would probably be helpful to give a few more pieces before we get more into the mutual aid platform, if that's all right. But if there's a burning question or if there's a big thing that I skipped over with the just basic gist of the mutual aid platform, please pipe up. Okay. So that is the mutual aid platform. And as I think we all know, mutual aid networks tend to be connected with and or born from or projects of or various other things. with time banks or local exchange systems, various things like that. But we, especially in mutual aid networks, tend to be rooted in a time banking community. So here is the Dane County TimeBank, and that's my home time bank. They have open source software that they use and should keep using. It works great for them, and we don't want to disrupt anything about what the time bank is doing. But what we do want to do is make it really easy for people to interact with the mutual aid network and the time bank really smoothly. So we want to create some interoperability between the mutual aid platform and the time bank. So for example, we have all these offers and requests in the time bank, and we have offers and requests in the mutual aid network. It'd be great if people could just have their offers and requests showed in both places if they choose to. Knowing that in the mutual aid network, I might be able to exchange it with someone far away, or I might end up being able to exchange one type of credit for another type of credit, and then through some of the kind of social agreements we use in the humans. So it would give people an opportunity to work back and forth between systems more easily. And also to be able to see and have credits move, but be able to see the credits that I've earned in either system. So I'm going to earn some credits in the humans networks and some credits in the Dane County Time Bank. I would like to be able to look at my account and see all the kinds of credits I've earned in all the networks that I'm part of. Then there are other things like the Lynn and Bob's LokiCon software. This is value flow mapping software. This is something that if we could plug it in, link it up with live offers and requests, live needs and assets that are really being expressed in time banks and in mutual aid networks, we could connect with this kind of thing. So LokiCon does some really cool stuff where you it maps the different assets and needs in a given community and can show current and potential value flows. I guess I'll just go back to this. So this is an example from, sorry, Lynn, I'm just synopsizing your project, if that's all right, and then I'll have you add.
Sure.
That's okay.
Please.
Yeah, so this is a real example that Lynn and Bob did in some Nova Scotia fisheries where they mapped current fishery production and processing and saw where there were gaps and were able to incubate. The community was able to incubate cooperatives to fill some of the gaps. So instead of shipping product to China to be processed and shipping it back, they could develop incubate cooperatives to create that processing capacity. And those are the kind of, like, we're in mutual aid networks, we really are serious about displacing the exploitation economy. And in order to do that, we really need to be serious about our capacity for actual value production and meeting the needs of communities in a lot of different ways. And tools like this LokiCon network plugged into the different exchange and marketplace softwares that we have, I think can really start to become a really powerful driver of some real human scaled economic planning from the ground up that we can do ourselves. So we've started mapping a variety of mutual aid network things. So yeah, here are the pilot sites, for example. But when you get into it, I should get to a more active cluster. But when you get into, yeah, we haven't put in much in terms of numbers, but you can have an economic gaps report. So for example, when we have this hooked up, we want it to show different kinds of meeting space, for example, times and days that different spaces are available, numbers of people, like parse the data a lot of different ways, and then have some really active mapping and matching capability by connecting different softwares together. So this is the beginning of an aspiration. I'm just showing you 3 examples, but they're the examples that are most important to us and that we're starting with. So what I'm looking to do on behalf of the humans and the Madison Mutual Aid Network is to build our capacity to really start with making a link between the map and the Dane County TimeBank and LokiCon, because I see that could make a really powerful system for us here that we could play with and improve on and share with the rest of the world. And then our various partners, and so Lynn has really spearheaded this. But we found something that we think could be a link between these things. So, this thing is called ActivityPub, and again, I will stop talking after a minute and let Lynn get more detailed about it. But I feel like it'll just be helpful to have the overview as it's existing in my head come out first. So ActivityPub is a way that it would be a tool to sort of connect social and economic networks. And the way I picture ActivityPub is it would be like the sort of water that you make canals that go to the different ports, which are the different softwares you're using. So I would be a person and I would have a profile, and I would be able to log in here and see all my communications. They'd be sort of federated, my communications from the TimeBank and the map and my Eco Village network and, this arts group that I'm working with, all my messages that are related to my various economic or community flows could be aggregated in a particular place. And easily go from, I'm being offered some work on a music video, and I could easily go from there into the project management tool in the map and easily give some hours to someone who's a TimeBank member to help with that project. Does that make sense? Some sense?
Yep.
So now I'll pause and give Lynn a chance to offer clarification or detail, and then give people a chance to ask questions and offer clarification and detail. So Lynn, you first?
No, that was pretty good. Like ActivityPub has underlying mechanisms to kind of support distributed processing at all kinds of levels, and so it federates with other instances of ActivityPub. So yeah, but the connecting the social and the economic is exactly right. And I guess just brief history, there's a group called MoodleNet that does educational resources, and communities kind of curate that and chat with each other. Anyway, we are working in partnership with them, and they have a couple free paid developers working on this stuff. So we're just sort of waiting for them to get a stable version out that we can start piggybacking onto. And that should happen in the next 1 to 2 months.
Ah, that's great news.
I know. I love having other people doing coding. It's really fabulous. And they're, it's a good partnership.
Great. And is that Mael?
That's Mael. And and our friend Ivan is going to do some of their UI work. But then they have another couple developers. They have a guy working on the back end, which is Elixir. So that's going to be one of our requirements or hopes. But anyway, not to get too detailed yet, I guess.
Great. So other clarifying questions or input?
This is Michael. This is really impressive, Stephanie and others, And so a question I have, being a newbie, is am I able to just go on and sort of, through my own learning, just see the different, play with the different modes and activities and just see, take my time and seeing what's out there? Is that something that newbies are allowed to do?
Yes, in the map and in LokiCon. And I don't know and yeah, you can be in this Pleroma instance. I don't see why not. Yes, I would encourage that. And I don't remember if you're already in the map, you have to be a member of the humans. And that's a membership fee, but it's extremely reasonable and will waive it if needed. And but you're required to sign on to the core principles in order to be a member.
Yep. Yep. Be happy to do that. Yep.
Cool. Other answers to the question, Lynn? Do you have an answer about the playing around?
Yeah, it's probably not obvious anywhere where you can play around except for with the map, which is quite a bit, but we'd have to get you hooked up into something like LokiCon. And ActivityPub might we could play around with the social aspects because Bennett has installed an ActivityPub instance for the man or the humans. So there's probably ways you could start playing around, but we don't have anything documented, and we'd have to sort of futz around, Things aren't hooked up yet.
Gotcha.
It helps identify a need, though, because we are aiming to establish more functional user groups, because we have been quite catch as catch can in terms of who can pay attention to the software. And lately it's been me, and I'm not detail-oriented enough or literate enough at all. So I need a group and structure. So we're aiming for that today, and we'll be sure to get farther to that before people have to sign off on the hour. Monica, did you have something?
Yes, I just have a question about the communication with each new. So Stephanie, you mentioned music video, and you're doing different things, and you'd like to use ActivityHub to centralize that. With each activity, there's a lot of communication with other people. Do any of these systems help facilitate communication, or do they have like an inner email or in email? Again, I struggle with that because I have 6 or 7 emails.
So the map does to an extent, and it looks like ActivityPub is like completely it's very communication oriented.
ActivityPub is sort of Twitter-like, but it's definitely a social network platform, and we would like to extend it to have a few more ways to communicate on the social network side, and then extend it to be able to also handle economic activity, and then, discussion about your economic activity, and handle groups, so you could discuss within your group without all kinds of other noise happening and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's a goal.
Yes. So, and Monica, I want to draw your attention to this page. There's some tutorials about the map itself, and actually everybody, here's some stuff about the map itself. It's very incomplete. Well, some of it is. So this Weezer, the map set up for new communities is like way more than you'll probably want, but it'll give you a sense of all the functionality. And this is part of when I say we need a user group with structure. I can't tell you exactly how it works because I just don't know, but because it's me, not because of the platform. Like there's tons and tons of communication in the map. But if you look at the instructions that are made by people who are good at instructions, that's way better. And we together are going to create a more streamlined experience, first of all, because we're going to get the help we need to adapt the map. And we're going to create a more streamlined introduction to it because it's going to be people working on it who aren't just me. So, and I'll invite you to take a look at these materials here that other people made. The walkthrough I did, but the user instructions Steve Bosserman did and the setup for new communities, I think will give you a real sense of all of the capability of it. So yeah, I think ActivityPub would be like the Twitter kind of place where people check in a lot is what I'm envisioning is people would check in here. They'd have ActivityPub open all the time, only it'd be called something different that, indicates, what we're about. and it would be it'd be like the Twitter level things that lead you into the bigger communications that are happening in the map or in your time bank or in whatever network is communicating wherever they're communicating. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so that
Yeah,
would
Thank
be
you.
like the free flowing stuff, and it would be the way that people stay engaged instead of, we've always been saying we have to make it so you don't have to go log on to a time bank to do time banking. This is part of that. Like, that, hopefully someday people would have things like this open all the time instead of Facebook.
So, and this would be for a group. So, for example, if I have a very specific question about some fundraising component I'm working on, I don't want to broadcast it to everybody. I just want to communicate with maybe 1 or 2 or 3 people that are in my group working on the same thing. Is that going to be possible? Okay.
Yes,
Have to
definitely.
it's different threads, yes.
Yeah, different threads, but even more than that, just groups, like where it's pretty private to the group.
Okay.
Like we've been kind of playing around with ActivityPub, and there is a lot of noise. Like I'm not a social networking person, so it drives me absolutely nuts. And I really need exactly what you're talking about. So that'll be one of the first things we do, is get that whole group structure working. So there can be more private conversations. You can do that. You can have private conversations now, but you have to remember to do it, sort of,
Cool.
Otherwise, yes, you're broadcasting to everybody.
So, Leroy, are you with us in a way that we can hear you? Not yet. Leisha?
I was just going to jump in and say I think it's really cool that you're using Mastodon. And you might have already said this, and my brain just like flattened or something like that. But are you planning to do different Mastodon servers for different local area groups, and then have groups intercommunicate across Mastodon servers?
We're planning
Or
for people like you help
Yeah.
figure it out. Sorry, go ahead, Lynn.
But yes. And they won't necessarily be Mastodon, but they'll be that, like that, some instance of ActivityPub.
I'm on hoomst.dog for Mastodon right now.
Cool.
And one of the cool things about Mastodon is that it's possible to, be signed up to one Mastodon and subscribe to another Mastodon server's feed.
Yep.
Yeah, so like that can be turned on or off in any given Mastodon server, but that like basically kind of would allow me, because there's obviously no local mutual aid network Mastodon that's here local to me, but I can
Not
still
yet.
Yeah, not yet. Yeah.
So let me tell you what experimentation is going on right now. We have, like I said, Bennett has installed an instance, and I think what he's got is a Pleroma backend and a Mastodon front end, maybe. And we are also, a few of us have installed kind of our own private instances that are hosted somewhere, thanks to Mayel, our buddy in MoodleNet. And we are communicating over those. And if you type in the chat your your ActivityPub hook there, you're at whatever, Leisha, whatever you got at, we can hook you into those chats if you like. And this is just part of our initial dog fooding, but we're using a really kind of limited version and are looking forward to being able to plug, I don't know, hopefully in December, MoodleNet's talking about having a core vanilla ActivityPub installation, and I apologize for sounding slightly technical here for other people, but that would accommodate groups and would have some sort of a new front end. Anyway, So if you want to put that in the chat, I will hook you into what there is now. I'll follow you.
Cool. I just stuck it in there.
Awesome. I'll do it later though.
Yeah.
All right. Michael, anything? So, do you think we could, and Leroy, if you're, okay, he hopped off again. So what I'm wondering is, the map tutorials are all just at the resources page, tools and training, mutual aid network. They're a couple different things. So what I wanted to see is if we could, Lynn was talking about laying out some of the needed tasks that we need help with. And Bennett's, let's see, techie tasks, I'll say. So yeah, I guess we have two like main groups, which is a user group and then the techie groups. Not meaning that each one is like one whole group necessarily, but the map oriented ones, Bennett has let me know it's mostly HTML and CSS with just a little Python. And I need him to help direct what we need. And then Lynn, you know some of the other things. So sorry,
Yeah.
stumblingness. Do you want to jump in with what the other things are for the techie tests, and then we'll come back?
Yeah, I've been trying to get a better list, but generally it'd be if somebody knows Elixir, Elixir, they could be helpful. And then if somebody knows React, they could be helpful. Working on some UI stuff. And I know there's more pieces to all of these, but that's kind of, that's the technologies we're ending up in. And then there's probably also plenty of work to be done at some point. Like we probably need a different Odoo API or some kind of something to sit in between the map and ActivityPub.
Yeah.
So that would be sort of a, that's like Python and Odoo experience would be really awesome there.
Okay.
I mean, all of this is also sort of like if there's also somebody who really wants to learn one of these technologies and, is willing to spend that, the extra time learning, that would be totally fine too.
Mm-hmm.
And has a way to learn that, because I don't know if we have people that can really train or mentor very much, but, hey, sometimes people want to get a new technology.
Yeah.
So, I just want to jump in and say, sorry, this is Leisha. I just want to jump in and say that if we do have people that want to learn, that I'm here to help teach people. And one of the things that I did this summer was teach some like Python courses where I had a small cohort, and we all got together over Discord and did pair coding together and lots of group work and worked on open source software. So basically I can kind of adjust the same sort of curriculum to basically anything that the network needs people trained in, if we just have people that want the training.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so I am writing it's a small grant for our mutual aid workspace, and there's a small piece of a small grant that is about having some coding workshops. So it's definitely something I'm planning to recruit some local people who want to learn, and some local people who want to help teach too, and we would be really happy to see if we can work with you for curriculum stuff. And I really like the idea of having people gathered in places and connecting online with people gathered in other places.
So if something gets organized for training like that, I would be really happy to plug in sort of a little bit on the requirements side, and maybe people could work on actual real problems during their training, which is always good, I think. I know there might be there's probably a use for just going steadily through a curriculum too. So this would be totally up to you, Leisha, and whoever. But anyway, that's a possibility that I would offer.
We're very interested in the hands-on applied learning. I mean, it's not just for learning's sake. We need this stuff like 3 years ago. So
yeah, I know.
Does that and then yeah. So yeah. So we would ask Alicia. I would ask you to. I'm guessing that works okay for you, but does it to connect with this sort of applied learning process, Alicia?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes.
I figured that. All right. So I'm applying for the grant that includes tech training. Lynn will provide specs for applied learning. I'm wondering, does anybody have any capacity, and does anybody here know any of the things? HTML, CSS, Elixir, React, Odoo, any of the things, who also would like to put a little time in to things as they're existing, but especially the HTML and CSS. I need someone to work with Bennett to help us get it in a little bit better shape right now.
Stephanie, I know Odoo because that's what the Bay Area TimeBank uses. I don't know if that's helpful, but and unfortunately, I don't know HTML or CSS.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, it would be helpful. So I guess the one thing, not the one thing. So what I want to do is get from where we are right at this moment to where we know how to move forward on our user group, and see if there's anything else we can do to provide some support to Bennett and move forward in the techie things. Someone have a suggestion? So for the user group, I know Monica and I are on it, and Michael Giroux. Michael Marks. Oh, I'm sorry. I just saw Matthew on here. Michael Marks, did you want to be in this user group where we're just working through identifying what we need to change, adapt, and work with the techies to make our software the best it can be at any given moment?
I could be if I can add value to it. You know, I'm not necessarily a tech person, but I surely could help interpret, you know, if needed.
Yeah, we don't need tech people on the user group, really. It's people who are interested in well, user stuff, you know.
Yep.
So yeah, exactly. And then I think what we need to understand is I think we'll have to seek some support in how to interact. How to interact between the user group and the techies and make sure that we're using people's time well. And I've learned a bit about that already. There actually in the map there is a issue reporting system, and so I've been reporting issues directly to Bennett, and he's helped me learn how to do it in a way that's constructive for him. So we can start with that, and then connect about more more established workflow. And Leisha has offered to help a bit with the map stuff, so thank you very much. And it won't be a ton of time, I don't think, at all. To Bennett's not available for a lot of time himself, so I really very much appreciate the offer.
Yeah, I can kind of interface to user groups to some extent, kind of depending on what they're testing at the moment. But any,
Yeah, that would be fantastic. So,
yeah, I think we'll need that.
should we set up another conversation to check in? So there are a couple different thoughts that I have. One is I really do want to respect people's time and make sure we're not meeting for the sake of meeting. And on the other hand, it is easier for us to make sure that we're like sort of staying on track and staying motivated to do our homework when we do have a regular check-in. So I just want to see what all of you think. So how about if we do a quick go around about what our preference is about that and use that to lead toward checking out. Lynn, do you want to set up a time to connect again, or just do it as we go?
I guess I wouldn't mind setting up a time to connect again, and then we can cancel if we're not ready or something, and give enough time for some stuff to have happened.
Should we make it the regular tech interops time?
That is a challenging time for some people, so I don't know.
Well,
that would be okay.
So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I mean, thematically, if it makes sense, maybe we should just check about the time. And does it?
Thematically, to me, it makes sense. Unless there's going to, I think the main split is like sort of focus internal to the map.
Yeah.
Which there's a bunch of work to do on, and then focus on the interoperability and interconnections between all this stuff. So those are the two pieces.
Yeah, so I think what we need to do is have a more ongoing workflow with the map, which we're working on setting up, and then check in at the interops time and expect that we're not going to be all map focused. So I think that would be good for it to be our next full group check-in. And so now my question for everybody. So that is a standing meeting. And we can change the time if if it really doesn't work for most people. So how about if we do a checkout now? And the current meeting time is Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. And it happens twice a month. Is it it is the second and fourth?
Second and fourth, yeah.
Okay.
Second and fourth.
Checkout. If you could say whatever you would like to say for checkout. If you have a commitment, that's great to say, or just anything that you're left with here, and say if it works for you to do Wednesday evenings if you'd like to do those things. If not, we'll do a doodle poll and get us together at a different time. Is that all right?
Stephanie, what's the Wednesday evening focus? I'm sorry, I'm having trouble.
It's this big picture thing. So it has been the tech interoperability. So it's been very similar to what we did today. And we would just assume that we would have even less of it. It is about connecting these various pieces.
Okay.
So, Michael, would in theory do Wednesday evenings? Can they work? If you would want to plug in.
Yes, they could. I do have to jump off, but if you
want to check out,
let us know. That'd be great.
All right. Anything else you want to say to check out?
No, it's fine. It's really great meeting everybody. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Leisha? Are Wednesday evenings okay? And would you like to check out?
Wednesday evenings are fine. I can stay if we have more stuff to talk about.
Cool.
other than that, checking out, yeah, I'm looking forward to working on stuff. And like I said in the text message, I don't have a whole lot of time that I can spend on the code, but 10 to 15 hours a week is definitely doable.
Awesome.
But in terms of just being able to do, HTML, Python stuffs, JavaScript stuffs, whatever. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I mean, that's like a dream to me. That sounds like a ton of time compared to anything that we've had access to. Oh, so sorry. All right. So yeah, our next meeting will be a Wednesday evening. And do you want to introduce yourself? And I'd love it if you just introduce yourself, and I don't try to pronounce your name and then massacre it.
You are talking to me now, Sebastian.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, so my name is Sebastian. I work at Kathmandu. I don't know if you know this company. It's closed in New Zealand. I'm doing the website in Magento. But I also have a company in France. I do machine learning. So yeah, that's all.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for joining and yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah, I just woke up. I still have my pajamas, so. Yeah.
I'm impressed. Thank you for joining us. And how did you hear about us?
The time bank? About the time bank? I help the time bank sometimes with informatics, so that's all.
Wonderful.
And yeah, I love the idea of sharing time, and 1 hour from someone is same value as 1 hour for someone else. I think it's 1 hour is equal for everyone. Every skill is really important, so I think that's really useful. So I just wanted to bring my help if it was possible. So really interested in the concept.
All right, great. Monica, did you want to check out? I saw your note about the time.
Yes, I have to check out. I just want to say thank you for this presentation. I can't generally meet on Wednesdays at 7 p.m.